Hey, my name is Norman, a grateful recovering alcoholic on the road to recovery. I last left y'all at step 2. I've just completed today the 4/24/91. Just completing writing down step 2 and have fulfilled all the obligations of that. Okay, being in the halls of alcoholism, I'm alcoholic. Alcoholics, I meant when I said the halls of economics, I meant the halls of AA and my home group. That I be around a whole lot, and getting that 30-day chip, it's just a small little piece of metal that states that things are getting better one day at a time, and I'm going to send my mother one. She's been with me during this recovery and praying for me like she's always done. And, she's pretty tickle pink about me admitting the fact that I was an alcoholic and substance abuse of a lot of different things. But things are coming along pretty good in my life right now. Just in the 30 days or the 35 days, a lot of changes have taken place in my life. Even had what they talk about in the group that I've had my spiritual awakening towards some of my character defects. It was like and when I came out of the hospital, I was a intake patient. They gave me a drug called antabuse, and it was a deterrent to stop you from drinking. It was a counteractive agent that would react towards any alcohol put into the system. And one night laying there praying and being so thankful that I was into the program and that things was going pretty cool, I just sit there and prayed and prayed and prayed, and hey, I just had some tingling feeling to come all over me. My wife thought I was going crazy in the bed. She'd seen me act so crazy so many times. She really didn't know what was transpiring, but it was a spiritual movement that came over me, and I just jumped up and threw the antabuse in the trash can. I had a bunch of Tylenol number 4s in my drawer that I was going to slip and take a little while. And I just jumped up and threw them in the trash can and was praying and crying and just, knowing that God has, really touched me, really came into my life again. I was very God conscious once before, but I seemed to got away from it, but now he's back in my life, in full force, in my life, my everyday life, not just in my recovery, but in my everyday life when I'm not in the halls of Alcoholics Anonymous. Even on the job and with my friends and even in the house now, recovery starts at home. It's one of the things that you learn in recovery. It just don't happen in the halls of AA. It happens at home. It's got to be a joint thing. It's got to be in the home, on the job, on the street, at church. No matter where you at, you always on recovery. And it have to go along with changing the people you be around, places you go, things you do, things you think, things you want to think. It's a long road, and it's a real joint type of change. It's a change from within. The change from within has to go along with attitude, disposition, your general way you carry yourself. When at the meeting yet last night, dude was sharing how he's changed, and it was a question and answer meeting, and one of the questions was, how do you gain your character back, and just how do you gain character, period. Some people never had any character, whether they were sober or drunk or high or whatever, but they was telling us that you can gain character through this program, one day at a time. Of course, everything is one day at a time. Went through the AA and the halls of Alcoholics Anonymous. Things just don't happen overnight, and they was explaining to us that character is grown on you. You begin to change your walk and your style of life, and as you do these things, you'll see yourself changing, and the character will come along with the change, and changing, I mean, your habits, the people you be with, or the people you know, or not even the people you know, the people you associate with, and it was real nice to hear this dude share, coming in there off of Skid Row, as we call down here in Los Angeles, with no character, no self-esteem, and no job, really no nothing, and really never had anything, he explained, due to all his character defects and his alcoholism. He never really wanted anything but a drink and a little nickel and dime job to keep him in a drink. And when he come into the halls of Alcoholic Anonymous, he didn't have anything worthwhile to speaking of, but he was in poor health. His mind was almost completely gone, and he was about 30, 35 years old, and actually a young man, but no self-esteem, no character, and no general morals about himself, as they say there, he was musty, dusty, and was wearing that exclusive cologne called "I Want to Be Alone," and to stand there and look at this dude last night, and got 3 years sobriety, and uh, and to stand there and look at him, clean cut, shaved, nice clothes on. He had a little watch and a nice ring on, and an automobile, and to see that this dude's changed, that come from hopelessness and Skid Row and sleeping in boxes and all of that kind of stuff. It really lets all of us newcomers, and they call us newcomers in the halls of Alcoholic Anonymous, until you get at least a year's sobriety, and to see this dude standing up there sharing, and speaking on all the questions that we were shooting at him, and to really answer them fulfillingly, you know what I mean, and meant them, and like I say, the halls of alcoholic is not just it's just not a lot of bullshit. That this is real serious thing here. And I've become to taking it real serious. It's nothing to play with. Either you're gonna do it or you ain't. And there's no in between in the home group that I got now. I got a bunch of old timers and a few dudes around my age, and the program is their life. And it's me or nobody that even comes through that door can even play with it. And they don't allow it, and it's just too serious of a thing to take lightly. And these dudes spoke real nice last night, and he asked us another question. There was another serious question that came up last night. How do you go about helping an alcoholic? First of all, most of all of us are in denial of our alcoholism most of the time, and he'd explain to us until the person finally admits to that he has a problem, then there's really no help for somebody that you think is alcoholic. So you really can't force your own will on them. You can pray for them and try to have God touch them in some type of way, or maybe they have a spiritual lifting or spirit to touch them in some kind of way. But it takes a lot of different things. A lot of different things brings people to the hall of AA. Some people have to lose their wife, cars, home, job, and things like that. Me, it took me getting sick and tired of my own self. Looking at myself in the mirror and just all messed up. And I just got tired of it. But I've listened to a lot of people share. That it took them to lose a job, and lose this. But there's really no help for the alcoholic unless he comes out of denial. Unless he realizes and accept the fact that he is an alcoholic. And because just being so new, as they call me a new baby, I just look around at some of my buddies that I know that's alcoholics, but they are still in denial and they won't admit it because of all the knowledge that I have gained within the last 30 days about the disease. That I can see that they really are, and I can't speak on them. I can't even tell them that they are alcoholics because it's not for me to tell. It's not for me to interfere in their business. Recovery is a personal thing, and when you're in recovery, you only concerned about yourself. My primary objective is Norman's sobriety and nobody else's. So If you know an alcoholic and he's close to you, or he's a brother or a sister or even a friend, really don't try to force anything on him. The best thing you can do for him is to pray and may ask them occasionally if you are recovering, or if you know of somebody that's recovering, to speak to them and may ask them to come to a meeting, or just make a 12-step call on him. That's just to see how he's doing, and would ask him would he mind, coming to a meeting with you or something like that. And if he don't want to, don't force it on him, because going into the halls of AA, being forced into them, you really don't get anything, because you really don't want to be there, and your ears are closed and your mind is closed. So they advise all of them type of people to stay away from the halls of AA, because it's no good. They're just going to walk out and waste a lot of time. Nobody can stop drinking until they are taught to stop drinking, until they hit their bottom. And bottoms comes in a lot of shapes and forms. And things have really been looking up. I've really been taking the various inventories of myself daily, and I really have changed. And it's just a slight change. I don't want nobody to get the impression that I've changed, and now I'm the Pope, and I don't do anything wrong, or I don't curse anymore, or I don't do this no more. Right now, all I don't do is drink, and I am trying to be a better person to my fellow man through what the things I have learned in AA and in my worldly experience. It just take a long while. It took me a long while to get this buried into my sickness or my illness, as we like to call it. And it's just not going to happen all in one night or all in 30 days. Like I say, this road of recovery is a lifetime. And as life goes on, one day at a time, I will improve more and more, providing that I'll stay into my program, my 12 steps, my big book, and listen and share and apply myself to the program. The program is all about action. You can sit there and you can listen and you can read and you can listen and you can read and you can do a lot of meetings all over town, all over the country, all over the state, and still not applying yourself or not acting on what you listen to and what you read. It's no good. They got an expression called a dry drunk. That's a particular person that comes into AA and sits there and read and listen and makes a lot of meetings, but still don't grab hold of what's really going on around them. Sure, he's haven't been drinking, but he's not applying the steps. He's not applying his everyday life to the traditions that we have set in AA, and uh, so he goes on a mental thing, and like I say, the word we use is a dry drunk. He's like a shell. He's there, he's read it. He can recite most of the book, and he can recite most of the steps, but he hasn't really applied himself or put himself into action. And it's a key word that they use a lot of times, that action speaks louder than words. People can see me now that knew me prior, and they can look at me and see a change in me. So that lets them know that AA is working, and it does work. So, people have to see. It's very hard for people to read something and believe it. Most of the time, seeing is believing. If they see it, they have a tendency to believe it a lot quicker. And we've been learning, or I have been learning in my recovery, that my illness or the alcohol was just only 5% of my illness. 95% of it was my thinking. I had some real stinking thinking, and it damn near it did. I won't say damn near drove me insane, along with the chemical abusing and the alcohol. I was insane, and I'm still insane. I haven't got out of that yet, but it's getting a little better. The fog is starting to lift off my brain one day at a time, and it seems better. I'm concentrating on what God would have me to do today, and what God would have me to say today, and more so than my own stinking thinking. I usually just my brain just thinks dumb, you know. Somebody was sharing last night, you know, the expression they use, and I'm going to pick that one up myself, and I picked it up already. Matter of fact, my thinking is broke, because my stinking thinking got me into the halls of AA, and I'm glad it was broke, because if it wasn't, I probably no telling where I would be at now, because I was down. I was even thinking of doing some horrible things to my own self to try to get away from this illness and this disease that I carry. But thanks to the grace of God, I didn't have to go that far with it, you know. And I'm so grateful right now that I'm here on this microphone, sharing with whoever may listen to this tape one day that hey, AA does work, you know. Keep coming back, applying yourself to the traditions, reading the 12 steps, getting yourself a sponsor, and one day at a time, it works, you know. And it's remarkable, you know, sitting there watching people that's experienced a lot more rougher life than myself, even though I thought my life was the pits. But I've been so blessed all of my life that I really didn't know what or why that God was allowing me to go through all these changes, you know, with all the things I've had, you know, not a lot of money never, but always a lot of love, a beautiful wife, a nice car, a nice home, a beautiful job, and just surrounded by a lot of people, but most of them were sick. But I didn't know that at the time because I was just as sick as they were. And now I'm getting better, and I can really see the difference in my stinking thinking and the way I think now. You know, stinking thinking still bothers me at times, but right now I'm learning how to not to react, or another word they use, or not to dwell on it. You know, it shoots through, and I try to rush it out with this prayer that we use. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. You know, that seems to run all that stinking thinking away, you know, along with the Lord's Prayer, you know, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Please forgive those who trespass against us. You know, that's a hell of a prayer, you know, and most likely most of y'all know the rest of it. But we use these prayers a lot in the halls, and they really works, man. You know, this spiritual awakening that I spoke of earlier in the tape, it is beautiful, man. It is beautiful, and they explain until one reaches that point in his recovery, it's going to be very hard to recover. You know, you have to get into step 3. You know, and that relates to your higher power. You know what I mean? Accepting God in your life. You know, and you don't have to be you have to use the word God, but accepting something greater than a human being. You know, and the book. And all the things you heard and all the things you experienced, because like I said before in another one of my earlier tapes, that this is not a religious program. This is a spiritual program, and the spiritual sense of the program is within the individual that's in recovery. You know, recovery is, like I say, a never-ending road, and you have to have a lot of spirit and a lot of help to get down this road. You know, you just can't do it by yourself. When I come into the hall, they tells me, you know, you don't have to dance with everybody, but you got to dance with somebody. You know, and that's in relation to having a sponsor, letting them know most of your innermost secrets, relating to them. He's like a big coach or a big brother. You know, I would use him more as a big brother. You know, somebody you can come talk to, somebody you can call up when you don't really feel good, or when you're kind of confused, or even when you're thinking, you know, and you just can't seem to get it off your mind, you know. And to call up a member of AA is helps, you know, to have somebody that you know that's been through the situations that you're sitting there trying to go through, you know, with your stinking thinking, and they can grab a hold of you most of the time, because they can really relate to what you are going through, you know, and let you know that you're not the only one that's been down that road, you know, and they most likely will tell you something that you want to hear, you know, to help you, you know. And so they would, you know, encourage you to come to a meeting, or whether you home or not, to get away from where you at. if you're in a slippery place, hey, they would encourage you to leave. Or if you have marital problems, or just any type of everyday living life problems, and your sponsors help you, you know. And we use the Big Brother slogan because we, as newcomers and or babies into the halls of AA, we have to have a big brother to help us out, you know. Even though we're grown, and like I say, most of the dudes in there ages ranges between 16 to 60 and 70. I've even met one that was 74 a few weeks ago, and with 26 years of sobriety, and he still has a sponsor, somebody he can call and talk to when he's in his stinking thinking mood, and things things just ain't going right. Because you're on the road to recovery, things just don't go right. You just life goes on. It's just not no problem type of life. You know, this road to recovery is easy and it's simple, but it's hard. You know, life goes on. You still have your problems. You still get a little mad at your wife, or your car's still gonna break down, and or you still might be broke. You know, a lot of little things in life still goes on, and you just don't have to. You just being in the road recovery. You just don't let these things bother you right now. You know, that falls back to the spiritual awakening that I've been spoken about. Things just don't get to you as much as they used to, and it's just remarkable once the spiritual awakening comes to you. You know how things change in your life. You know, like right now, me. I'm speaking of myself, and that's basically what all alcoholics try to speak of, their own experiences. And speaking of my experiences, uh, AA is the most important thing in my life right now. You know, I really don't know if I have another recovery left in me. You know, or another relapse, because there's nothing more important than that. You know, I used to think that my job was, my home was, and my Cadillac was, and my children was. But right now, if I wasn't on the road to recovery, none of that would be. So if I'm not right, uh, why should I even think about all of that? You know, right now I concentrate on Norman well-being, Norman inner self, and I'm still learning who Norman is. You know, and during this road to recovery, I'll begin to like this new dude. You know, he can be all right. You know, one day at a time, of course. That one day at a time concept is really swings around in my head like a merry-go-round. You know, because I've always planned for Monday to Friday. You know, and now it's just getting up, being thankful that I'm up, being thankful that I have a job to go to, being thankful that God has given me all the things that I have, and taking it 1 hour, 1 minute, 1 second at a time. You know, like today I just got off of work, prior to getting onto the tape, and I'm home with my wife, and my two daughters have just left out to go over to their girlfriend's house and do their homework. So I found this excellent time to get on this tape and to share with you people or whoever may listen to this tape one day at a time. Is real tough. You know, it's hard, but it's simple. And you control one day at a time by your thoughts and your actions. Stay for now. It's all about right now. Yesterday, tomorrow is not important. Right now is important in my life. What am I doing right now for my recovery? What am I thinking right now? Right now I'm thinking on my recovery. As you can hear, my thinking is no longer stinking at this moment. I know that sounds a little funny, you know, but it's serious, you know. This program is serious. One day at a time. It's very serious, you know, and to stay in that concept, it's been getting easier, you know, because I practice it every day, every minute, every hour. When I find myself just having them stupid passing thoughts, I just get right up off it. Hey, I'm not even worried about that. When I look at my gas tank and it's pretty close to 3 gallons or 2 gallons, Hey, I know I need some gas. I don't even think about where I'm gonna get none from. I try not to even think most of the time because I think so stinky, and it's gonna take a long, long, long time to get all of this stinking thinking out of my head because it took a long, long, a long time to get there, you know. And some of my character defects won't allow it all to slip away as quickly as I like it to. But through the prayers and through the AA and through the big book and through the prayers of my mother and my wife and all of my children and the confidence that I have in my own self, I know things are going to get better one day at a time. And they shall because I can feel them, I can see them, and I recognize them. Tonight I got a meeting at 8:30, and it's usually a damn good meeting on Thursday nights. It usually be crowded and a lot of good sharing. And for anybody that's listening or anybody that happens to get a hold of this tape one day, make sure you find a home of AA or NA or CA. See, I belongs to all of them. I have three different homes. I have an AA home, I have an NA home, and I have a CA home. And you have to find a home with a lot of people generally that you have to relate to, you know, that you can relate to, that, you know, there was no color barrier on it, but for myself, and I'll speak of only for myself, you know, I find myself, I have to be around my type of people, you know, people that basically come from more or less the same walk of life with me, because it's hard to really share with a bunch of people that's that's out of Beverly Hills, you know, for me now, I'm speaking of, only for me, because they don't know the trials and tribulations that it takes a boy to come out of the ghetto, the rough, tough way that you have to be, you know. I come rough and tough from 9 and 10, you know, living in Baltimore, basically in the ghettos and moving 9, 10, 11 times, going to 12 and 13 schools, fighting for everything I had to get, even robbing, stealing, and just all the dumb shit and all the dirty shit that the ghetto implants in our young people's mind today was instilled in mine a long time ago. And, I'm a fighter, you know, I'm a struggler, and I've been a struggler all my life, and a provider. And most of the time I have to take it, lie for it, cheat for it, or even rob for it. And as quiet as it kept, I hope no police listen at this, but even kill, if it came to that. But, you just have to find a home that, with a bunch of people in it that can relate, that you can relate to. You know, it's all about you. When you're in recovery, everything is about you. It's not about how they look. It's not about how they dressing in there. It's not about how they talking in there. It's whether or not they have some serious sobriety in this home that you search for. Whether or not they have some people in there that loves to see newcomers come in, that love to help, that love to share and to pass on. It's a key to all three of these programs. Once you have received it, you must pass it on. Because if you don't, you are not on the road of recovery. And these are some of the key things that once you get detox and you come out, or whether it's institutions, or whether it's in the hospital, or no matter where you might be at, once you decide that you do need help and you are searching out for this help, you must find you a home. And you must be able to relate with the people in there. Like I said before, you don't have to dance with everybody in there, but you will have to dance with one. So if you only find one in there that you think that you can relate to, then pick him. Make him your sponsor. In the meantime, if you're newer than myself, when you go into these meetings, sit your ass down, open your ears and your mind, and be goddamn quiet. Because if you're in either one, AA, NA, CA, you don't know a goddamn thing. Because if you knew something, your ass wouldn't be there, and you'd be just like me. Your stinking thinking brought you there. And the only thing that's going to keep you there is the change that has to come over you. And the change will come over you spiritually if you keep coming back and you keep an open mind and you keep listening. You sit there long enough, they tell you the program grows on you. You put into action what you hear, what you read, and it will happen. The miracles are small, but they are still miracles. Some of the miracles that have taken place in my life are very small. I've never even thought of them as a miracle till I see myself working on and acting on them. Hey, is that me talking like that? Is that me stealing something and taking it back? Is that me apologizing for calling somebody out of their name? Hey, that's just, I wouldn't believe that in my fondest dreams. But I know today that it's all right. That is what I must do. I must be honest, vigorously honest in the program of AA, NA, and CA. You know, the spiritual move that comes over you, uh, it's so rewarding. I mean, even when I do slip up and call somebody an MF or faggot or whatever come in my mind, right away I realize, hey, I'm sorry, man, and can say it with a smile and mean it. I want to share something else with you in relation to my spiritual change. About 3 days ago, or maybe it was 4 days ago, I happened to go into Chief Autos and my water hose bust on my car, and I was just so I pulled into Chief Autos and asked them to give me a hose, a top hose for my L Dug, and homeboy went up there and got it, and it was a whole counter full of key rings up there. You know how to be in Pep Boys and Chief Autos, they have all these keychains up there, and so he reached up there and pulled the hose down, and these two key rings caught my eye. They caught my eye in particular because it was a bunch of letters up there, like people names and stuff like that. So I seen an NG, and hey, I swiped him so fast before he could put his eyes on me and put him in my hand, and walked on out the store with him along with the hose that I paid for, and my wife and them was in the car, and I shared it with them because I was feeling real guilty about that. And I ain't never felt guilty about stealing anything. I've been a thief, I think, more than 2/3 of my life. I can remember stealing as a child, and as an adolescent and as an adult, it was common practice for me, in the markets or anywhere I went to, more or less look around and see if there's anything to steal. If it was, I most likely took it, and especially if I thought I could get away with it without no whole lot of problems. And sometimes I stole it and thought I might have a problem. It didn't matter to me. It's kind of how bad I wanted it. And so I got on in my car, got the hose, and shared with my wife and all, and I went back to the group. Like I say, the spiritual awakening really gives me this conscience that I really never really knew before, and it stayed on my mind. Them two funky little $2.99 key rings. And so, like I say, I went to the hall and I shared it with the group and all, and they was giving me all these explanations why I did it. I did it out of impulse more so than not thinking. Like I say, being a professional thief, 2/3 of my life, I just did it. I really didn't even think about it. I just seen them, and my eye was caught, attracted to them, and it was an N and a G, and it was a pretty old keychain. Matter of fact, I still have them. And so I stole them, and I shared with the fellas, and they said, well, take them back, mail them back, a whole lot of little, they call input, they was giving me on it. So, like I say, I'm still feeling real guilty. And one of the dudes that I admire a little bit with a lot of sobriety and, pretty honest type of dude. And he said, well, why don't you just, man, NAA, let me change this for 1 second. They don't tell you what to do. They use the word suggest. Why don't you, I suggest, Norman, that you take them back, tell them you stole them, and pay them for them. Hey, wow, that was heavy for me, man. That don't sound that heavy does it. But for me to go in the store, to take back what I stole and tell them I stole it, and tell them I want to pay for it now, hey man, hey, that's way out of my bag, man. I would never, I have never did that before. I never even thought about doing it before. To steal it, get away with it, and to take it back, man, is you crazy? What the hell wrong with you? Well, like I say, with this new spiritual thing on me and all this knowledge that I done gained, I just really didn't feel comfortable with the two key rings. So I left the group and I rode home. And like I said, it's still on my mind. I cannot shake these two funky key rings that I stole, you know. So I decided, yeah, I'm supposed to be being honest now. I'm supposed to not steal no more. I'm supposed to be aware of all of my actions and all the things that I'm doing in my life. And this change have happened to me a few nights before. And if I'm going to do this program and do it right, I have to do the right thing. So I decided I will pull the chief autos. I, in the process of before I get to chief autos, I had to pick my oldest daughter up, and so I picked her up from off of work, and I wasn't coming towards the house, so she says, "Where are you going?" And I tell her I stole these two key rings. I had to admit to her. They all know I've been known to steal. And I said, "Well, Kia, I stole these two key rings, and I have to take them back and pay for them." You know, she said, "You gonna do what?" You know, even she was amazed. You know, she's 19 years old and she's been with me all her life, and she know I ain't never in my wildest dream, even drunk, high or whatever, tripping or whatever, think about doing no junk like that. You know, me, I mean, man, I'm insane, but I'm not stupid. It still tickles me today, you know. And so I commenced to go into Chief Autos, and I pull up there, still kind of hesitant about what I'm getting ready to do. Matter of fact, you know, as I say, I was been thinking on it all day, just how I'm gonna go about in that to do this particular good deed that I've never thought about doing in my whole damn life. And now that I'm hitting 39, damn near 40, I'm gonna do some dumb shit like this. This is what my stinking thinking is telling me. Leroy, you done got him. The hell with it, dog. Try not to do it again. But still, that's not right. And the way I feel at that particular time. So I gets there, and I force myself out of the car, still trying to control all that stinking thinking and everything. I goes into the store, and who do I see? I see the same salesman that sells me the hose. So I pull him like down at the end of the counter and says, "Excuse me, sir, I'd like to pay for these two key rings that I stole yesterday." And he looks at me real funny like, you know, and he says, "I didn't see you steal them." I say, "Yeah, I know. I'm a professional thief, but I still like to pay you for them." And he says, "Damn, son, that's pretty good of you." And he rung them up and gave me the receipt without any problems, you know. And as I walked out of the store, I was looking at my daughter. She was still sitting in the car waiting for me to come out. I don't know what she was thinking, but she was just sitting there looking at me when I came out the door with a big smile on her face, you know. And as I walked out the door, I felt very big and very happy myself, you know, that I even did that, you know. And I knew that I was on the right road. I knew at that particular moment that I was going to recover, that I am changing, because as small as that may seem, that was a miracle taking place in my life, a real miracle for me to do something like that.